Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Scoops AFL Trade/Free Agency Wrap Day 2. Today was officially Day 1 of the trade period, the second day of free agency. Jack Darling is a Roo. Neal Bullen is a Crows player. Jack Graham has officially nominated the Eagles. Dan Houston could be joining Collingwood. We're going to go through all that right here, right now. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Please smash the like button. I want to aim for 20 likes for this video. Please subscribe. There'll be more daily trade content. As the days go closer to next Wednesday, there'll be more news each and every video. So turn on the bell for all notifications. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Also, go check out any of my recent videos if you haven't seen them already. Day 1, there was a lot of list managers and coaches, etc., GMs at Marvel today. So there was a lot of questions gone every club's way. Richmond, I think, were the only one, as I last looked, that haven't spoken at all, which is very interesting because they're heavily involved with Baker, with Graham, with Rioli, Bolton, etc. So, yeah, very interesting to see what their reasoning is as to why they didn't do a little video to update everybody. But regardless, let's get right to it, shall we? So, Neal Bullen is officially an Adelaide Crows player. Melbourne received pick 28. He had 2 years to go in a contract. He went for family reasons. In the open market, I would say Neal Bullen is worth a pick in the 30s, low 30s, like 33. So 28 is about right. He's contracted for 2 more years. Melbourne did let him go out of good faith. I think this could be a handy selection for the Crows. Pick 28 is a deep draft this year. So all in all, I think a win for everyone. Neal Bullen is like 27 years of age, if not older. So, I mean, look, it's good for both sides. If Neal Bullen pays off and the untried draftee doesn't, then Melbourne will look like fools, but they let him go for personal reasons. So we wish Neal Bullen all the best of the Crows. I am not 100% certain what draft pick, sorry, not draft pick, contract length he's gotten. I assume it's a 3-year deal. 2 that he had at Melbourne and another year on top of that, I would assume. Jack Darling has joined the West Coast Eagles. Has joined from the West Coast Eagles to the North Melbourne Football Club on a 2-year deal with a trigger for a third. Pick 67 was the pick. Well, not a surprise. On some decent money at North Melbourne, and it was at West Coast. It's more, I wouldn't say a salary dump, but it's more just, get him out. He's not playing well anymore. So why North Melbourne would offer that long is just beyond me. I think West Coast win this trade because they've got his money off the books, and he's out of favour. At West Coast, wasn't in great form. They're rebuilding, so are North. They need some experience, but they should have got Tim Membry, who's a far better player and far younger than Jack Darling and in far better form, and actually still playing really well. I mean, 2 years and a trigger for a third. Like, that's just unbelievable. North Melbourne to make a big mistake there in offering him basically a 3-year deal. So we'll see what happens there. Now, Dan Houston is one name I want to talk about in particular. It looked like for the last week that Carlton was the favourite and North Melbourne were a distant second. Well, it looks like now that Collingwood are going to be the club that could secure Dan Houston purely through the John Noble trade. So John Noble is essentially helping Dan Houston be a pie, or more than likely become a pie. Pick 13, which Gold Coast are going to get rid of for Lombard, because the bid will come beforehand. That's why Gold Coast are training out 13. If Collingwood get 13, a part of the Noble trade, Gold Coast will get picks in the 30s with Noble in return. It's more points for them for Lombard. Collingwood get pick 13, helps them get Dan Houston. So all in all, it could help all parties involved, which people don't understand. Oh, why would you trade pick 13 for picks in the 30s and 40s, or multiple picks in the 30s and 40s? Well, Gold Coast need the points. More picks, more points. Yes, they're later picks, but pick 13 is going to get chewed up as Lombard will get a bid at around 10, if not earlier. So that pick will get chewed up, and then they wasted a first-round pick for nothing. So, and basically had to use that pick on their own player, which they can get for free normally. That's why clubs trade things out. That's why people need to understand how bidding works and how the compo picks work and everything like that. Now, apparently, according to Josh Gabelich, St Kilda and Carlton have interest in tall Hawthorn defender Ethan Phillips. It will be a backup option. So, look, I don't mind it personally. We need another support option for Wilkie and Howard with Battle gone. Showmaker can play the third tall. But then there's only Zane Cordy. So they need other options. They listed two younger key defenders who never played a game. So I don't mind the move. Isaac Keeler will probably play out forward with a backup ruck option in the future. So I don't mind that. They looked at Jaden Laverde. They've looked at a few others, Adam Tomlinson. So Ethan Phillips, Adam Tomlinson, Jaden Laverde, all in a similar spot. Of those three, I probably would prefer Adam Tomlinson, to be honest, but apparently that's not going to happen. Colin would have looked at him, apparently, too, as of last week, Cal Toomey said. Now, some quotes here. Finn McGuinness won't be leaving Hawthorn, according to the Hawks list boss Mark McKenzie. Essendon have shown interest, they've admitted, and they'll have to wait and see what happens there. Now, Andrew Mackie, who's the new list boss of the Geelong Football Club, took over from Stephen Wells, who's still at the club apparently, or he was as of last season, just not as the main guy in charge, Stephen Wells. Let's just say that Geelong are very hypocritical for whinging about St Kilda's compensation pick. I would have thought he was smart enough, Andrew Mackie, to realise that how the rules are is it comes after your ladder position. It's not saying he's worth pick 8. St Kilda were where 7th spot would be in terms of the draft number. So it goes to 8 because how the compo picked from Hawthorn. So Andrew Mackie talking about handouts, essentially whinging about handouts. Didn't Geelong get gifted pick 7 last year as a salary dump for Jack Bowes? And last time I checked, Jack Bowes is nowhere near the player and never will be near the player that Josh Battle is. And it's not about that anyway. But if you wanted to argue that, Josh Battle is a far better player than Jack Bowes. Jack Bowes is worth a pick in the 40s at best. Josh Battle is worth a late first rounder. So, sure, pick 8 sounds a lot. Sure, Isaac Cumming and Harry Perrin probably aren't worth picks in the late teens to early 20s. But here we are. They're not that far off. It's how the compo works, how many years the other club's offered, his money, his age, and the contract length. That's how it works. I'm going to get Andrew Mackie's quote up if I can be bothered to find it. He's very hypocritical. Was Geelong get all the handouts? I mean, they're the most protected club in the competition for a reason, Geelong. So let me find this quote for you all. He says, actually, hang on a second. Here we go. All right. He says, and I quote, list manager Andrew Mackie of Geelong Football Club. It felt generous with a couple of those guys. By definition, it means they are in the top 5% of the competition. Andrew Bassett, the Saints president, would be feeling pretty good about things. Andrew, he wasn't talking about the compo stuff. He was talking about the bidding system, how people can get Levi Ashcroft for free, not free agency compensation. Okay, so first off, you're wrong there again. Top 5%. So you're basically having to dig, saying the battle's not good enough. Have you watched his last 2 seasons? I know you don't have good defenders outside of Tom Stewart, so I'm fully aware that you're worrying about old guys that are not going to do anything, or fringe players. Like, seriously, our backline is better than yours. Yes, Tom Stewart's a gun, but who else have you got? O'Sheen Mullen? Please. Who else you got? Jed Buse? Couldn't get a game. Jake Kolodashny, don't get me started. De Koning, what positions he play? Is he a ruck now? Is he a forward? Is he a bench player? Is he a reserves player? What is he? Like, seriously. And top 5 paid, not who's the best 5% players in the comp, Andrew. Geelong get handouts for everything. They can say stuff, and Chris Scott gets away with it. Chris Scott wants something, he generally gets it. You're the most protected club in the competition. You get the fixtures favouring you every time. You have to choose the prelim time slot, and you still lost. Chris Scott always blames the surface sometimes. You're one of the only clubs to train on the ground you host your home games at. No other club really does anymore, if at all. And if they do, very rarely. So you want to talk about handouts. Geelong get all the handouts. So your argument is invalid here, Andrew. Just worry about recruiting guys that aren't over the age of 30. Or injury-prone players like Jack Martin. Yeah, Jack Martin. Okay. But there you go. So that's Andrew Mackie, who's just embarrassed himself. I'm going to read some more quotes here. Let me get them up. Western Bulldogs list manager Sam Power says, we think Bailey Smith is worth a lot. We expect a lot for him. Yeah, fair enough. He's out of contract though, so we'll see what happens. Jack McRae is aware it would have to be a suitable deal for us for him to join St Kilda. Yeah, this is where all the talk comes out from a lot of clubs. Jack McRae and Adelaide did it with Van Soto for St Kilda as well. Both will be St Kilda players. They're going to be easy ones. Clubs need to start being more honest. Like, seriously. Then again, I suppose it stops their leverage, I guess. Chris Davies said this about Dan Houston. Clubs have started to come to us about Dan Houston. We want a good deal. Better than fair for a player who's a two-time All-Australian. I am sure there are whole heaps of things to play out in regards to Van Soldo. We have no issues having the chat with St Kilda when that time comes. They're implying that they haven't spoken yet. I believe they would have a little bit. But Dan Houston, they should be well compensated. He's contracted. He's aware he will stay, and he's happy to stay, apparently, if a deal cannot be secured. I think Collingwood's now the favourites. I think Carlton is down the pecking order. I wouldn't say they're out, because if Collingwood pulled out, Carlton would probably be back in the favourite zone. But I think Collingwood are the heavy favourites now for Dan Houston, which is amazing. We can start questioning Collingwood's salary cap, by the way, because Harry Perryman's on apparently 6 years for $900,000. DeGoey, Pendlebury, Howe, Elliott, Darcy Cameron, Dacos brothers, Darcy Moore are on big money, I'm sure. So I'd love to start questioning that. Now, Justin Lepich at Collingwood said this, which made me feel that, okay, they are the favourites, because you don't just say this. Justin Lepich said, we are confident about Dan Houston. We are confident about Dan Houston, says Justin Lepich of the Pies. We've still got to get the deal done. There is still a lot to play out. He's basically just said they're the favourites. So 1 minute, Carlton are the favourites. St Kilda were the favourites at one point. Collingwood weren't a chance, and now they're a chance. Carlton were the favourite. North are a distant second chance. Now Collingwood have jumped the front of the queue again. Like, it's unbelievable. It's clear that Dan Houston wants to play for a Victorian club. He doesn't want to nominate a club because he would have a preferable option to go to Carlton. That looks like it isn't going to work. First it was St Kilda, then it was Carlton, now it's Collingwood. It's clearly showing he doesn't want to go to North Melbourne. Which is why, if I'm North, why am I offering a future first? They could be picked 1, 2, or 3, or 4. Houston's a great player, but I wouldn't be doing that if I'm North Melbourne. You're going to have to somehow find a way North to get someone else's future first and then offer that. But Port don't want future picks. They want this year's picks. Hence why Carlton aren't going to get Dan Houston at this rate, because they're not willing to offer pick 11. It's a strong draft. But if you want Dan Houston, I'd rather Dan Houston, the proven star of the competition already, a 2-time All-Australian in the last 2 years, Dan Houston. So I would know what I would want, and that is to trade pick 11 for Dan Houston. McCarlton, give up your future first as well, and I feel like Adelaide would then accept it and run. He's a contracted player, he's a star, he's a 2-time All-Australian, Dan Houston. He's a gun player, can play halfback and wing. Maybe he's a half forward even, if need be, if you want to pinch hit him down there. So Dan Houston could be joining the Collingwood Football Club in a big 360. Now, Luke Parker, apparently it's not as clear-cut as at first thought to join North Melbourne, but it will happen. What are some other players to look out for? Jack Graham is nominated West Coast officially. He'll be a free agent. Most likely that'll happen tomorrow. Richmond are given the farewell poster already, so it'll happen probably tomorrow for Jack Graham to join the Eagles on a 4 or 5 year deal. Compo pick, what will it be? It'll probably be end of first, start of second round, I feel like, which for Richmond, it could be after their ladder position, which is around 22, could be around 26 to 30, which is probably a little bit overs, but, here we are. All right, so now let's see. We've got a few more little names to mention here. Caleb Daniel is weighing up to stay at Bulldogs or go to North Melbourne. Despite what Bulldogs say, I feel like he's going to leave and join North Melbourne so he gets more opportunity, he can play consistently. He hasn't been happy there with Beveridge there. Obviously, Beveridge is the coach next year, so he's out. I would think North Melbourne should be happy to secure him, and they would want to grab him, as they mentioned earlier today, Brady Rawlings said. Devon Robertson, Brisbane are open to letting him go. West Coast have been linked for years. Feel like that will be his destination and play more permanent midfield at the Eagles. Dev Robinson is too good for the VFL. And Brisbane won't play him with the midfielders that they have. Jack Lukosius, the conversations with Port have been pretty good. They will unfold throughout the week. that one needs to be done. So Port Adelaide can worry about Houston. Gold Coast can worry about John Noble and everything else. So that Jack Lukosius one, some may say it's complicated. I think that'll be clear cut, that'll get done pretty quickly. So we're going to unlock other deals. And last one, Matt Owies. Why has he not got any interest, severe interest? If I'm St Kilda, I'm going, yep, 3 years, Matt. Here you are. He kicked over 30 goals this year. You can join Dan Butler and Jack Higgins. I think that'd be a dangerous small forward line trio. And he's a proven goal kicker and can hunt the ball and can tackle as well. And just one more bonus one, Jake Stringer, GWS. That could happen with Jake Stringer. Could get a 2-year deal, potentially 3, trigger for a 3rd. I think he would take that as he wants more than 1 year, and Essendon are unwilling to do so. And another one, I'll add one more. Riley Garcia apparently set to stay at the Bulldogs. They've upped their offer now to a 3-year deal. Port Adelaide will get Joe Richards, who has nominated them. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Get ready for the next few days of daily trade wrap videos. Until the next video, thank you very much and take care. And go you mighty Sainers. And all aboard the Filippo train. Then, now, forever together. And I'll leave you with one more bonus one. There will be a big trade coming. And do not rule out Tim Membry to Brisbane. Thank you.